Blog Talk Radio. Well, good afternoon once again, and I will just go through a brief intro that I usually do, and that's just reminding us all that today is Monday, July 30th, 2018, and this is Foxology, and this time I've got a real special guest on the line with me. I'm Silver Ray Fox, your host, and I want to wish you a happy Monday. Once again, phenomenal people, and I hope you were able to stand by because I think we were all pretty excited to have this guest on today. She's in the midst of traveling, and we all know what can happen when that happens. Things got a little bit tight, and she wanted to get on and was having some struggles with receptivity, and so all of that's pretty understandable. But I'll tell you, we were working hard behind the scenes. She was ready to go, and so am I. So without further ado, I want to introduce all of you to Nachand Trabue. I'm going to get it right before the show is over, so don't worry about that. She's the author of Try God, A Journey of Faith, Trust, and Obedience, and I know that's not the complete title, but I'll get that out too very shortly. I'm so glad things worked out for us to connect. Thank you for responding. We were kind of doing some three-way messages there, but I'm real happy and excited to have you on the air with me today.
Thank you so much, Silver, and I am so excited to be on the line with you all and your listeners too as well. Because we're in a season now where we have got to stop everything we're doing and say, hey, you know what? Let's try God. And so this is a movement. So we're excited, and I'm excited to be on here. And let's see what we could do to help each other as we try God together.
That's exactly right. Well, one of the things I was saying in my last intro a few minutes ago, about a half an hour ago, that, you know, there are definitely lots of things for all of us to do, and sometimes those things are just small kindnesses that can make such a huge difference in the lives of people. But then there's sometimes, and you know how scriptural it is, sometimes much is required for people, and God knows exactly who to give those great big assignments to, and I'm thinking you're one of those people, Nachand. I'm thinking you're one of the ones that got a big assignment. So, yeah, indeed. So, you know, I want to start out by asking you, when did you start writing?
That's a very great question. You know, I'm going to be very transparent. I did not want to write this book at all. It was a strong mandate from God that said, hey, you need to get this book out. So I wrestled with this for over 4 years. I would write in my journal a few things and maybe write something down on a piece of notebook paper. But as far as really saying, hey, I want to write a book and call it Try God, that was not a part of my plan. And my wonderful business, she's my book architect, book coach now, Tanya White. In April, I happened to see her at my event center that I have in Louisville, Kentucky called Manhattan on Broadway. She was there for someone else's event, and she said, you need to get that Try God book out. And I kind of looked at her and I was hoping she would walk away and leave me alone. And guess what? She didn't. She called the next day, she emailed the next day, and she was able to help me get this book produced in 52 days. 52 days exact.
Wow.
So, and it was just one of those things where God said, it's an urgency. Come out, and guess what? People are getting blessed all around the world. I just got back from overseas, as I was telling you this morning, and people were blessed where I was at. And we're on book tour now, so we're traveling around the world, just sharing people about the testimonial part and challenging people to go ahead and you tried everything else. So why not go ahead and try God this time? And if you already done tried them before, then try them again. So the book had, it just came out. It just came out in June, and it has just taken off and beyond leaps and bounds and measures that I didn't even have anticipated for it to go. I mean, God is just doing a supernatural thing, and I'm just trying to figure out, what's next. That's where I'm at.
I tell you what, stay with what's now for now.
Yes. Yes.
And enjoy that ride for sure. That's phenomenal. I'm so glad to hear that it's taken off so well. It truly is that the title has simplicity, but it's such a powerful, powerful message. And I'm sure in the midst of such troubling times as we're in, things are, I've heard more than one person say how unusual the times feel right now. And I know sometimes I try not to reflect too long on the horrors of it all because, you could stay in that place way too long. But, when you hear try God, it's like you said, people have tried so many other things to find wisdom or make sense out of things or to find strength or, all the many, many things we need as we go through this life. And there's often a lot of rebuttal for those of us who maintain our Christianity. It gets rebuffed and it gets laughed at, and I see videos and things where people make fun of people praising and dancing and things like that, and I sit back and I look and I think, you know what, you just don't know how some people have had their backs up against the wall or some of the circumstances that they were in or keep a living and how something could happen and you'd be looking for everything that looks like God in your life through. So I think it's a very powerful thing. What actually did inspire you as a title and as a mission to have this be the message?
Well, back in 2014, my pastor, Pastor F. Bruce Williams of Bates Memorial Baptist Church in Louisville, Kentucky, he was in the pulpit preaching, and not preaching just to me, but preaching to the congregation of 5,000-plus members. And a part of his message that day was in 2014 in April. As a matter of fact, he said, I am going to do a series, and I'm going to call it Try God, Malachi 3. Try God, based out of Malachi 3. So I just, for whatever reason, I guess both of my ears, were wide open, and I heard exactly what he said loud and clear. And immediately it started, speaking to my spirit, Try God, Malachi 3. At this point, I'm pretty curious. Born and raised in church and have read Malachi before, but I said, you know what? Let me go back and revisit this, outside of church. So I had went home and thought about it and didn't go right to Malachi 3. But a few weeks later after that, God woke me up in my spirit about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I started reading Malachi 3. I tried to lay back down. He woke me up again the same night, and I read Malachi 3 a second time. And he woke me up a third time, and I read Malachi 3 a third time. And at that point, it was very evident what the word that he wanted me to get out of Malachi 3. And from that, God just started doing amazing things in my life through Malachi 3, and I focus more, and I talk about it throughout the book, Malachi 9 through 12, verses 9 through 12, Malachi 3, 9 through 12. And God immediately told me to make one shirt, and on that one shirt, I put Try God, Malachi 3. I made this one shirt for myself, and after he had woke me up, I wore this one shirt to church one day because I didn't have anything to wear. I wore it a couple of weeks later and happened to be walking down the hallway as I am exiting church, and my pastor happened to see me and said, he did a double take. He said, excuse me, what does your shirt say? I said, oh, try God, Malachi 3. I said, you said you're going to start doing a series on that in about a month or so. So I just went ahead and started reading Try God, Malachi 3. He said, oh, okay, good. I want that shirt. And I kind of thought he was playing, so I kind of walked away and smiled. And then a deacon met me at my door and said, hey, no, Pastor really wants a shirt. Here's the size. So at that point, then I made another shirt. And then I made one for his wife. Got another call a few days, about a week later, from people started texting me and inboxing me, and I'm getting messages from, on Instagram, getting messages on Facebook of people saying, Pastor got your shirt on in Noonday Bible Study, and Pastor said that this shirt is going to be sold in the bookstore. And I'm like, dude, what? I didn't know. We had never talked about none of it. I didn't know that the shirt was going to be available in the bookstore. Remind you, at this point, I have only made 3 shirts, one for myself, one for Pastor, one for the First Lady. And long story short, those 3 shirts made in 1 month turned into over thousands of shirts in a month because Pastor wanted the whole church to wear it, and it went from our church. We have one of the largest churches in the Midwest region. So it went from our church to other churches, to Ohio, to Tennessee, to Indiana, to, just was overflowing all around the world of churches and pastors grabbing onto this. And I was able to birth out my first business through these T-shirts, and my first business was Manhattan on Broadway, which is an event center in Louisville, Kentucky, and all of that got birthed from me trying God, and got birthed Manhattan on Broadway Event Center, and then from everything else that flowed on. So it had just been from me just stepping out on faith, trying God, and believing God for, what he said his word is. So I was able to leave corporate America in 2016 because why? I was able to try God. Everything that happened from 2014 to 18 was based off of the mandate of me trying God. It wasn't because I was so smart. It wasn't because I got, 3 or 4 degrees. It wasn't because of my experience in corporate America. It wasn't because of who I know. It wasn't because of none of that. Everything that happened, and I talk about that in the book, it's because I said, you know what? I'm going to try God. So when I was picking up on negotiating deals and making real estate deals and, purchasing property and investing in business and everything that I was doing, it wasn't the bank loans. It wasn't selling partners. It was all because I said, you know what? I'm going to try God. I'm going to go in the boardroom and ask. I'm going to send a proposal and ask for this. I'm going to ask. Why not? What are they going to say? No,
exactly.
I'm trying God. And God just did supernatural, amazing things because I said I was crazy enough to try him, I guess. And I've been trying him every since. And I just want the world to be able to do the same thing, Deborah.
Yes, it sure sounds really, really exciting. Well, I want to ask you some things about the message in your book, and you've probably covered some of it, but maybe it even gets a little more personal. But you said it's a journey of increasing faith, unwavering trust, complete obedience, and I often ask my guests a similar question because I know that there are things that happen, things that we live through, things that we go through that bring us to a place where we can make such a statement about our faith and trust and obedience to God. But I'd like for you to reflect on that. When you think about increasing faith, people who have walked long and hard with God still have issues with believing and faith. So what would you say when you're talking about increasing faith? Why don't you speak to that? What do you mean, and how can you help people with that part of your message?
That's a very great, and that's one that I have struggled with. So I am able to talk about this one. What I simply mean when I say increasing faith and stretching your faith is when you feel in your life, whatever the situation may be, whatever scenario that is going on in your life, when you feel as if you don't see it being possible, you don't see it being possible no type of way. You have tried so many different ways. You're like, you know what? This is just impossible. How can I get this done? Then that's when you have to lean on your personal relationship with him and say, God, I know that this is a part of the promise that you have for my life. So what I'm going to do is remove me out of the way, and I'm going to put everything that I have in you, and I'm going to trust you about this particular situation. I know it don't look right. I know the doctor's report says it's going to be this way. I know the mortgage company sent this and said it's going to be that way. I know when they ran my credit, they said that I couldn't qualify for this business, so that's not going to work. My marriage is failing, so counselor said we probably need a divorce, so I know we probably going to end up in a divorce. But guess what? God, I know what everybody else is saying, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rely on you, and I'm going to rely on your word for what you have destined and planned for my life. So when I say increasing your faith, I'm saying remove yourself, remove your mindset, remove people away from you in your thought process, and it's just you and God, just you and God. And you just trusting and believing, and you standing on that faith, the grain of a mustard seed, and you saying, God, it looks impossible, but through you, all things are possible. And you are just saying, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it feels like. I don't care how it may come off or be perceived. God, I'm trusting you with everything in my life, everything, regardless of how it may seem. And when you get to that point in your life, that is, you've been in a relationship with him. You know, my husband loves me. So when my husband loves me, I know that my husband is always going to be there to help guide me and direct me. And he's going to do that because why? He loves me. And that's how it is with God. God, he loves me. So if I just lean on him and depend on him the way I depend on other people, can you imagine what God will do if you just solely just be in love with him and love on him and believe in him and believe what his word says? Then God's going to do exactly what he said he's going to do. It's already written. It's already written. So it becomes personal. It becomes relational. It's based off a relationship, and it's about obedience. So in spite of what the world was telling me that I couldn't do, that what I wouldn't be, I said, yeah, I hear what y'all saying, but guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to try God. And I take those two words, and I try him, Silver, on everything. Everything. I don't care what it is. I don't care who it is. I don't care what level they're on. I don't care who's the CEO. I don't care who runs the company. I don't care. If it's something I want, you know what? Why not? I'm a child. I'm a woman of God. So I'm going out there. I'm taking everything the devil has stolen from me. Guess what? I'm going back and grabbing it. And I'm doing it through this try God movement.
Indeed right.
So my challenge to everybody, what I'm telling, and you have read and those who purchased the book on www.nationtrabue.com. And I'm sure they probably can follow all that information on your page too as well. They can, at the end of each chapter, there are challenge questions. And at the end of the book, there's a 30-day challenge. And guess what? Once they complete the book, then they get ready for the Try God workbook. So this workbook is going to be great for small groups and book clubs and church Sunday school classes and classes at Christian education through your church, or maybe just a women's group, you know, doing Try God workbooks together, where you have accountability partners and you're going through 6 weeks of workbooks. So it's real intentional. It's intentional. And you all are going to love it. And everybody's going to have a Try God testimony from it. And that's what we're excited about. So I tell people right now, just increase your faith. Increase your faith.
You also mentioned trust. And, you know, I know trust and faith kind of have some similarities. And often we are put in situations where, you know, you said just kind of, you know, you got to, try God. And when you get to that level where trust, where it means, you know, you just got to sometimes be still, or sometimes you got to keep working and just trust. But sometimes you just can't do anything but trust the results, trust the outcome, and believe that God is actually handling that. And what is it? What is the primary message you say in your book about that?
The unwavering trust. So, I'm going to give an example, and hopefully this will help some of the listeners too as well. I was in corporate America working at a major utility company here in my city, 20 years, and then I stepped out on faith and tried God. But through that, when I stepped out on faith and I left the company, put in my 2 weeks resignation letter and told them I will be exiting, at that point, all I had was, I'm just trusting the rest of the way, put it like that. Didn't know how the rest of the way was going to end up for me, but I said throughout this process of me exiting and leaving this amazing job, I'm going to have to kick in a supernatural trust at this point. I'm going to have to trust the whole entire process. Being able to trust the whole entire process ties in a whole lot with obedience. I had to really come to grips of saying, you know what, in order for me to trust, in order for me to be have this type of level of faith, nation's going to have to be obedient. And that trust, I had to increase my prayer life. I had to, think about things that I was sacrificing. I had to think about doing things according to how God has instructed me to do. So in order for God to trust, for me to be able to trust God, guess what? In order for God to be able to trust me, I had to really trust Him. So He said, this is a two-way street. I need you to trust me, and I need to be able to trust you. So in that being said, I had to say, well, I need to clean up some stuff. So I need to be obedient. So my message to people, in between that trust, when you're going through that stage of the trust, just know that it may be cloudy. It may be very cloudy. It may be confusing. It may not feel right, but you're just going to have to trust the process. That's the word. You have to trust the process. And once you trust the process, what helped me to trust the process was getting in my word and studying the word. So I would study the word and speak the word over me. Whether I felt like I was believing or not, I said, I'm going to speak this word over me. And I started getting into the word and praying, and that helped me with the level of trust and the level of faith that I have now today. It's from getting in His word, studying His word, praying, fasting, and really saying, God, you know what? You're the center. You're the center. So I'm just going to trust you throughout everything. Even when I don't even, how you're looking at you think about a long tunnel, God just gives you a glimpse. He may give me a glimpse. He don't give me the whole full picture, but He may share a glimpse. And guess what? I'm happy off the glimpse right now. I'm just happy off the glimpse. I don't know what's next. I'm just happy after that. And that's a part of the trust. And the trust is coming from me believing what His word is, the relationship.
When I look at the word obedient, and when you've mentioned it several times, and of course that's part of your subtitle, I wonder if people think that's a harsh word. And when I say that, I don't think so personally, but I because I certainly understand exactly what you're talking about. But most people will look, and let's say we're talking about to people who want to take a buy-in to everything that you're saying, but they, got questions. I don't like rules of religion, and I don't like all the stuff that people say you have to do and things they say you don't do and should not do. Can you speak in more practical, common sense terms of what obedience really means in the life of a believer?
That's a good one, too. And I got a chapter on that, too. This is going to be really, really great for readers to really meditate and read on. Obedience, and I could kind of say, it was a time in my life where I was like, I may want to be obedient in one area, but I don't know if I want to be obedient in all areas. So I can say that I was, definitely have once been there, like rattling the fence, going back and forth. Because, I didn't want to be obedient in everything. I wanted to do what Nation wanted to do at one point in my life. I mean, I'm like, it's my life. I want to do what I want to do. And then when I solely said that I'm going to really live for him, I think when I got sick and tired, of being sick and tired, and when I seen that the only person that was there for me, really, really there for me, was him, I started leaning more on him. And in the process of me leaning on him and depending on him, then I said, God, I got to start, cleaning myself up and being more obedient to your word, and understanding. I had to understand his word in order for me to be obedient to it. So I had to put myself through learning his word in order for me to understand how I'm going to be obedient, because me just saying I'm going to be obedient wasn't enough. I had to understand his word and apply it to my life. And when I started doing that, it's when I started understanding, okay, I'm in a love thing with this man. I'm in a love thing with him. So I'm loving him. And, it became a part of it became normal. It became normal to, as I was studying the word, I was appreciating the word. I was grateful. I was thankful. And at that point, I began to say, you know what? I'm going to start doing what the word said. What the word says to do. Why should I not do it? God says to do it. Absolutely. And all the things that he has brought me from is just amazing.
Well, we're getting toward the end of the conversation, and a fire alarm has decided to go off here. I'm not quite sure if it's the building. Okay. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and pursue. What I'd like for people to know now is how they can reach out to you and where they can get your wonderful book from. We've just got a couple of minutes. Go ahead and tell people about your website and where to purchase it.
Yes. All right. So you all can purchase the Try God book. We got Try God T-shirts. We got Try God Limestone shirts, Try God earrings, guys, and cufflinks too. Amazing. Go to our website. It's www.NACHAND Trabue, so that's my whole complete name.com. So it's www.nachandtrabue.com. You could purchase your books. You could purchase all of our accessories on there too as well. If you're on social media platforms, we have a Try God Movement page. Instagram is Try God Movement. Go ahead and like the page and keep up with it, because we're going to start doing prayer calls as well as testimonial talks, and we're going to have a private group for that too as well. And we're on Facebook too underneath Try God Movement. If you want us to come to your city, to your conference, to your business, to your women's group conference, email us, let us know. We'll send you out a speaker sheet and see if we can coordinate a time we can come and do a book signing or come and speak. We got 6 Try God workshops. You can come and speak on those too as well. So follow our page. We're excited, and let's try God together.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being my guest today. I'm really glad that we were able to work it out. I was looking so forward to sharing you with the audience, and it certainly has been really insightful and very enlightening, and it's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for being here. When you get a minute, Nachand, check out the radio page to make sure I have all the contact information there. And if I don't, please give me a call and let me make sure I have everything there that I need to have there. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
And I look forward to talking to you. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right.
And
I want to thank all right. Take care now. And I want to thank all of you as well for joining me today. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you. So I hope you'll share this info with your friends, and I'm going to look forward again talking to you next week. It's Master Your Mindset Monday. That's always off the chain. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Be good. Be blessed. Be awesome. Thank you.